Have you ever felt like you're just yelling into the void when you're using an AI? You ask for something and you get back something else? Well, today we're going to fix that. We're going to dive in and learn how to turn those frustrating AI chats into powerful, precise conversations where you get exactly what you want.
Oh yeah, we've all been there. You're trying to use a tool like ChatGPT, and the answers you get are just so generic, or completely off topic, or just plain useless. But here's the thing, it's probably not the AI's fault. And it's not yours either. It's really just a communication gap. The secret is learning how to ask in the right way.
Okay, take a look at this. This is what it's all about. On the left, you've got make a timetable. I mean, sure, you'll get something, but it'll be a shot in the dark. Now look at the right. We added just a few key details. It's for 7 days, it's for a student, and it needs to include specific things like study and rest. That tiny change makes all the difference between a useless result and one that's actually helpful. This is the core idea right here.
And you know what? The key to getting these amazing results every single time isn't some super complex coding skill. Nope, it all comes down to 12 simple but incredibly powerful laws for crafting the perfect prompt. So let's break them down.
First things first, we have to build a strong foundation. And that foundation is all about clear instructions. Think about it. If your instructions are fuzzy, your results are going to be fuzzy. It's all about being super precise and direct with what you actually want from the AI. And that brings us right to our first law, the constraint density law. Remember that timetable example? The good prompt worked so well because it was packed with constraints, with rules. What this does is it takes the AI's focus from, a billion possibilities down to the one specific thing you care about. It's simple. More constraints equals more control. This is maybe the most important rule of all.
Building on that is the intent compression law. This is all about being concise. Getting straight to the point. A short, sharp instruction like, explain this chapter simply, with 3 examples and 5 steps, is going to get you a way better result than some long, rambling paragraph. It just cuts through the noise and leaves no room for the AI to get confused.
Ooh, and this one is a real pro move, the negative prompting law. Sometimes the absolute easiest way to get what you want is to just tell the AI what you don't want. For example, asking it to explain supercharging without giving historical details immediately tells it to focus only on the technical stuff that you actually care about. All right, let's move on to our next set of axioms. If that first part was all about the specific words you use, this next part is about setting the stage. You want to think of yourself as a director, giving your actor, the AI, the right motivation and context for the scene. This right here is a perfect example of the role priming law. I'll get this prompt. You're not just asking a question, you're giving the AI a whole persona. By telling it to act as an engineering graphics teacher, you instantly change its tone, its vocabulary, even its level of detail to be exactly what you need. It's brilliant.
But what about your side of the story? That's where the context saturation law comes in. Here, you're telling the AI who you are and what your goal is. I am a clerk preparing a report for my senior. Bam! Now the AI knows the output has to be professional, structured, and formal. It's tailoring the result just for you.
And to make sure things stay on track, we've got the memory pinning law. This is kind of like setting a ground rule for the whole chat. With a prompt like this, you're telling the AI to maintain a certain level of technical depth, so you don't have to keep reminding it with every single follow-up question. It's a real time saver.
Okay, so we know how to give clear instructions and we know how to set the scene. Now, let's totally reframe how we think about this whole thing. A good prompt isn't just a one-off command, it's the beginning of a dynamic back-and-forth conversation.
And that leads us to the progressive deepening law. Here's the deal. Don't ask for some huge, complex, multi-part answer all at once. That's just a recipe for a confusing mess. The trick is to start simple, make sure the AI gets it, and then build on that foundation, going deeper and deeper, step by step.
And this is exactly how that works in practice. See? First, you ask for a simple explanation. Great, got it. Then, you ask for the more technical, engineering level breakdown. Check. And finally, you ask for a real numerical example to tie it all together. You're basically guiding the AI, piece by piece, toward a perfect answer.
And here are 2 more quick conversational laws for your toolkit. The self-review law is awesome. It's where you literally ask the AI to check its own work. Think of it like having a built-in proofreader. Then there's the context looping law, where you tell it to just pick up where it left off without repeating anything. So useful for longer projects.
All right, let's get into the really fun stuff. The final and most advanced set of laws. If you want to go from being a pretty good user to a true power user, these are the techniques that are going to get you there.
Now we're getting into some seriously powerful stuff that turns the AI into your thinking partner. With something called friction prompting, you could ask, what are the flaws in my idea? And with error anticipation, you ask it to predict common mistakes. Like, before you explain this, what are the biggest misconceptions people have? This forces the AI to think on a much deeper, more critical level.
And now for a technique that is both kind of fun and incredibly powerful, the dual persona law. This is where you actually get the AI to play two different and often complementary roles to solve a complex problem.
This slide lays it out perfectly. You tell the AI, first act like a tough examiner and create some really hard questions about this topic. Then, in the very same prompt, you say, then switch roles and become a helpful teacher and solve those exact questions. You've just created this amazing self-contained learning tool in seconds. So let's just pull all this together real quick. It all boils down to these 4 pillars. You start with clear, sharp instructions. Then you give the AI the right context by setting the scene. After that, you treat it like a real conversation, building your answer step by step. And finally, you unlock those pro-level results with the really advanced techniques.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty fascinating thought, right? As these AI tools get more and more powerful, the skill of crafting a good prompt becomes less of a niche tech thing and more of a fundamental way we all collaborate with intelligence. So maybe the future of being an expert isn't just about having all the answers, but about knowing how to ask the perfect questions.